All right, let's start something new. This is my first time kind of like filming this way, like landscape side, because I never have the intention of like making um a proper video for here because I'll just get like makeup content and then I just if it's like longer than 3 minutes, I make it a video, but I kind of bored, I feel like I started this out as like makeup, skincare content, and I feel like it's evolved. I still like I'm not into skincare as much. I don't want to do too much review because I feel like these things are so it's just excess, and unless you need something new, like there's no need. And makeup's still fun, but it's not as fun as when I first started. I don't feel it still makes me happy, but I feel like there's different creative outlets I kind of want to branch to, and like lives has kind of evolved. And I'm gonna make this hopefully a weekly thing of things on my mind, and I think might be beneficial for somebody to hear. Hopefully we can do like a weekly thing because it might be off tangent a little bit. Bear with me. Um, this week topic, I kind of want to talk about history. I think everyone would be beneficial for them to just study history of just anything. This is how I personally define history. Because recently, well, for like a couple months ago, I was just obsessed with religion for breakfast. I just came to a realization. One of his latest videos was about religious residue, and then I was like, okay, I might be an agnostic because I never truly identify as an atheist because I feel like there might be something out there if some people believe in it, but there's so many. It's just very different. And then for a while, I've just really listened to religion for breakfast and then I was studying histories, religions and stuff, major religions of the world too, for school, and that's kind of like go hand in hand. And what I found interesting was that from an scholar from an educational standpoint, not a religious standpoint, of the way it evolved over time. It started out, and almost every single religion start branching out. There's no they have different branches, they have different ideas that base from it, or something completely off, and how similar they are, also how it divides people, the way it was translated. That I find it's really interesting of just how the Quran, even if you don't understand it, they believed. I saw, I forgot what show it was, Quran in Your Heart, something like that, of the competitions where you were, reciting the Quran. Even they do not speak Arabic. The people do not speak Arabic, but it's just the way you say it. They believe in able to hear it, able to recite that. Will do you good in like the afterlife or something? I don't remember exactly, but I remember being so moved by one of the persons competing. He doesn't know the actual like ways to stress his. I think it's pronounced tweed. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad with memories and I might butcher things really badly, but just the way you stress things and how to say the Quran correctly. And I was just he's got taking points off with that, but he got the voice of an angel. And I was so moved and I didn't understand it, but I was just like, this is so beautiful. Even if you don't understand, they believe in like religions is just beyond a concept. It's just sometimes it's just the way you know how why you everyone can walk, but if you walk a certain way, that's for that religion. And I think that's so cool. It's just the sound, the materials, religions. I thought all those things were fascinating, and the way things were translated. Oh, I'm talking about Qurans because of translations, how they want you to learn in the original language as possible, because you can see there is like major, at least in like Christian, like Bible, the translation of it. I saw a few videos of religion for breakfast talking about the major translations and how one word or omitting of one word or the way they translate it and things over time over a year lost the meaning, even if it's just one word, and it changed the view completely. I believe it was on women. Um, but I thought that was just so cool, and I just recently came to realizations that I really like history. It's just history of anything, any where something start. If you look at it right now, it came from somewhere. That's how I define my history. I don't know if I ever explained that from the start, because I'm honestly really bad at explaining. But how things evolve over time, and I just find that so beautiful, and we can also learn a lot of things from it. And then after my obsessions with religions, I still watch it, but I watch, I think, every single videos by now, so multiple times. So unless he came out with something new, I also watch from other creators too. But something I do not like is when I'm more careful with this now, is when someone provides something that's like factuals or supposed to be factuals and stuff, and unless you're like you have your credentials of like historians and things like that, and they do not cite their source like in the description and things like that, I find that's a little bit sus. There's this one channel that do like funny history like recaps and stuff like that, or like history's facts and things like that. But one of them, they list the source as like, oh, it's like known facts. Yeah, it might be spread around, but doesn't mean it's still true. Because if you say a lie enough time, it will become truth, right? Just like alter reality almost. But after religions, I got into, it started out, I think it's like called History Hits, because I was driving, and then I was like, actually, you know what? Let me look into this. Yeah, they were, I think I was watching about Victorian time, and then the Tudor time, and how things kind of like, and then I made it my way into kind of like medieval histories and things like that. I really like Dr. Eleanor, and the one for history, I completely forgot her name, but she's also amazing too. If I can find it, I will put it below or something if I will ever edit this. Um, what I find interesting is we take so many things for granted. Life is so much easier now. So when my life is a little bit harder or rough, I'm just like, honestly, some things I complain about is like first world problem. It's not that serious. Or like things has evolved so much where we become so comfortable, just a little bit of discomfort, which is like it's the end of the world, when in reality it might not be. Um, one of the thing I never thought of is making like gardening for yourself, because before mass farming and commercialized farmings, you know, for like everybody, people need to farm. People need to farm, you know. They have maybe their own little garden. They gotta find a way to farm. They gotta learn what crops is in season. If they given like a little bit of land, you know. I think in like history hits talk about like serfdom, and then they're tied to their land, and then they gotta make it work. They gotta rotate it somehow, or like plant something nitrogen rich, and then, you know, rotate it over time. And I think that's just so cool, because I thought about it, how people know all these things before, and I feel like because it's survival, that's what they need to learn in order to survive, so things get passed on to like the next and the next, and now it's not as necessary for us anymore. And yeah, just talk about farming, and then chicken, you know, now hens and things like that, you can just trick them into thinking it's night or day with lightings and stuff. Before lighting is possible, you can only harvest and then cook a certain way, cook certain things at a certain time of the year when milk is possible, because now we make them preggo, you know, pregnant, and then able to produce milk lactates like all the time. But it wasn't like that before, and you got to really take care of the one animal you have, or however you have, to able to provide for your family, which I think was really cool. Yeah, like you can only eat certain things around certain time, and that's why spices, like just buying spice and then the spice tray was so, like people got so rich because now you get flavor. You're able to flavor things. And one thing I don't like when they just focus on, because when I learned about like histories and then fashions, histories and things like that, it's the costume of the rich. What about the poor? Yeah, because you have more documentations of the rich, they're able to get painting, writings, and things like that. But it's like they have the money. They're the 1% or even less than 1%. They own everything versus the fashions of the people that um they might not able to change things like season by season. And another thing I find interesting is one of the videos also on fashion hits as well. I forgot, was it the Tudor or Victorian time? How, oh, actually no, it was a different channel. She does 500 years of histories, and she go from like, I will list her if I can find it. I'm so bad with name, I'm so sorry. But about um maternity clothing. I never thought of that concept, right? Maternity clothing was a new invention because before you gotta make your own clothes. No one make clothes for you. Standardized clothing now is a new concept because before it's made to order. You, they tailor made to you. They take your measurement before things become mass produced. So people don't own as much clothes or more access to clothes as we have right now, and they have to farm, they have to plant it, they have to weave it, they have to do all the things to provide clothing for the family. And I think that was interesting. And then the fabric that they can use, such as like wool, linens, and then it might take a very long time before the cotton gins. Have you seen like cotton and pick the seeds in the winter? It's sticky and it's nasty. We're not gonna get into like slaveries and stuff like that, but you have to realize it. You have to see it, witness it, or see videos of it to see how horrible it is, right? Okay. And I just find that really fascinating. The concept of maternity clothing is new because over the year, if you get pregnant multiple times and things like that, you have X amount of clothes. You're not gonna make it very well fitted. You're gonna make it, somehow to able to last a very long time, adjusting the weight and stuff like that. And then there was into the part where it's just like corsets for pregnancies, and I thought that was really fascinating. Pregnancy corsets, because I don't like the ideas of people demonizing corsets. Corsets was an undergarment. It was a way to support. It was things to support people, the the and all that stuff. So like I really hate, like if I see a movies, a show of some sort, like one of my ick is like this. Let's just like yank it to like make the corset as tight as possible. Most people are not tight lacing. Most people are not doing it for the extreme silhouette. It's tailor made for you. So if you wear it, okay, your body's like the skin, so distribute like up or down. This give you a smaller silhouette, and then the bonings in there that make it so it fits better and it's give you the structure. But after you take it off, your waist is not getting any smaller. It just looks slimmer during that time. And then there are times where things looks extreme silhouette because padding, the underskirt, things for structure underneath to help with that. Paddings to make all those things possible. Okay, I'm kind of going off tangent a little bit here, but yeah, all those things. It's just like, also it's just a way to remind us that things happen, things evolved, and we are kind of like lucky. There's like so much bad things happening in the world, or just in general, or just right now, or it's always been. I don't know, but it just take time to think of how things got a little bit better. I feel like, I don't know, a little pause. My brain's kind of like freeze a little bit, but I think those things are important. These were forever ago, right? But couple hundred years. But look how far we are right now. Technology, everyone's able to, not everyone, but people have access to phones, people have access to car, which is really expensive before. And then that's why the T model, I think it was the T model by Ford, was made it possible for the common people to buy a car, because it streamlines. It's not for customizations, it's for, hey, this is the model, everyone get this. We make it very efficient so everyone can able to buy, because the cost it's lower, etc. And I think all those things are really nice. But also histories of pens, for example, like the little hole on the pen there, so prevent you from choking, and all those things we don't think about. Oh, I was learning about regulations, like clothing regulations. Did you know it's very strict um regulations for clothing for children? They have, most of them, like I think under age of 7. I have to look at the age again, when they're still like toddler, like younger. No long strings you have, because they can strangulation, they can choke. Buttons, you don't want to have you want buttons, snaps, velcro, something that's easier to get out. You don't want a very long like clothing, etc., or that can like choke the baby. That's why the swaddle is really nice. Fire resistance for clothing that's not tight fitted. And then the tag was, you have to write specific thing on there, right? If is any hazard, etc. And I think all those things is pretty fascinating, because, and then some people might argue, it's like, oh, my kids were fine before all these things, this and that. But I feel like if it's me, I would feel safer to know all these things were put in place. Like, yes, things didn't happen before, but things were put in place to prevent it from happening to more people. And I don't know, I feel like some people are pro regulation, some people are not. I want to know why, how it come to that, and what it's helping me as a consumer end. Because one thing I find really interesting is learning about fabric characteristics and stuff, because you can know which, at least for me right now, the characteristics of like products wise, and see if you're being charged fairly or not, or if anything makes sense. Because for like leather or something like that, you want to be able to put it away from humid place. You need to know what kind of like animals or insects, things that can cause harm to it, damage it, and how to clean it. That's why I really like, after you got that, you have specialized product. I think like almost everything kind of like already exists. It's just people just don't know about it yet, because it's very niche. For like, leather bags and things and stuff, to make sure it's safe for whatever you're being taken care of. And yeah, I think it's just so cool, because don't think of histories in terms of something very, very far away. It could be something 2 years ago you witnessed history. Like able to get married, gay marriage in the US. It wasn't that long ago. It was not long ago. And that was history. How did we get to there? And there are some things, there's still people from around the world that are not able to legally get married. And I feel like once you study the histories and seen the connections of everything, you able to see the bigger picture. I was just really confused. I thought I hated histories for the longest time because when I was in school, I was forced to take like AP classes, advanced placements classes, and my professor, my teacher was not that great, which is read textbooks. And it's just like all these terms that doesn't make sense to me. It's like you have to remember dates. You gotta, it's just like you didn't live it. You didn't able to grasp the picture. I'm just like, how people go to war for hundreds of years? Like, how does that make sense? It's not like people constantly fighting. It's just like you stop, and now you hear about all the wars and everything's going on around the world. It's give you perspective, and I think that was one thing. And then I was just like, oh, I don't know names, I don't know dates. I think it's able to find connections, see the similarity, see what happened, how to avoid it, what caused that. I think all those things mean so much because some things are like scandalous. Some things are just like, hey, it's a conspiracy theory, blah, 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 blah. All the power, the rich and powerful are hiding things. But until years later, when things come to light, it's like able to look back and see the patterns because there's so many things that are for corporate greed that was pushed onto consumer, and then we were without information from it. I did a little search into PFAS, and that was just really interesting. Of all the data that shows that PFAS, forever chemical, was, yeah. And then I was just doing research on PFAS, and there was research. They already know about the danger of it, and it's all cause organ failures in animals and stuff like that, but it was withheld from the public. It started from 1962. The research withheld from the public until the trials in 2013. That's when people realized it's like, oh, actually, this company should be held accountable. They still exist. DuPont still exists. They're very known, very big for, synthetic fibers, which really great. I am glad they're able to do more than manufacture because you can alter the traits and characteristics to your desires effects, but it's also really hard to degrade. And now the problem is that we're shipping things to landfills where landfills cannot decompose because there's so much things out there. It's not gonna able to disintegrate at all. And then to look at the bigger picture too, things get cheaper. Okay, we able to manufacture things. We used to manufacture a lot of things here, and then we outsource as like a lot of country from a business standpoint makes sense. Outsource things so you can get more profit because things are cost cheaper. Like the cost of labor is a lot compared to like shipping it and everything. So if they can save it, they're like, hey, let's order things way in advance. So now we're gonna ship it out there, have things were much cheaper because someone is paying for it. Someone's not working in proper conditions, not well waged, or the production's not nice, is not the best, etc. So in the end, the people, I'm not gonna talk about it today of like people values on clothing and things like that, but it's just like able to know these things, recognize these patterns, and see the things repeating. Like the more you look at things, like things just goes in a circle, in like a cycle. It ups and downs and ups and down, and it repeats itself over and over again. But okay, I don't want to go on much longer, but I hope you just, I don't know, find something, any source of topic or things you're interested in. I swear there's gonna be a history or just starting like an interesting story about it, like a cigarette, opioid pandemic, and all those things and how they correlate with each other. So I hope that was helpful. I really want to eventually do one episode on textiles and just really interesting arts that I really want to see in person, but I don't know yet. I hope this was fun. If you like it, like and subscribe. See you next week. Hopefully, since I have a little bit more time.